Good morning, YouTube. Welcome back. Before we start today, I just want to thank everyone who has watched and subscribed and liked my videos. I wasn't expecting too much from my first Let's Play in terms of viewership, but I could say that I've been pleasantly surprised by the feedback that I've gotten, and I just wanted to thank everybody who's been watching and commenting. It really means a lot to me. I appreciate that. Today, we're going to set up some oil production because we'll need that to get to our next phase of science research, which is the Science Pack 3. For that, we need advanced circuits and batteries, and advanced circuits require plastics, which we need to make from petroleum, and batteries require sulfuric acid, which we need to make from petroleum. So our goal for today is to get a oil refining setup done so that we can move on to produce those items. Off screen, I went ahead and made 5 oil refineries, 5 pump jacks, and 13 chemical plants. That's what we'll need for that. Before we get started with all that stuff, I'm going to 1, 2, 3. I'm going to set up 2 assembly machines making pipes because we're going to need a lot of pipes for this. So let's do that quickly. And then we can get started placing things while we get some pipe made. I'm going to use the fast inserters because pipes get made pretty quickly. And we'll set this to, let's see, stacks of 50. That's 100, 200, 300. Let's set that to make 400 pipes. Okay. Now we've got our oil here. If you hover over these crude oil patches, you'll see in the info, you'll see a number that says yield. And this just shows you the relative richness of each of these. And the yield, if you divide that number by 100, that tells you how much oil per second you're going to get from it. So this one, for example, says yield 556. If I put my pump jack on it, you can see that it says 5.6 per second. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and put down 5 of these. It might be overkill for how rich these oil patches are, but too much is better than not enough. The other thing I want to do is make some storage tanks. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. I think we're going to need 5, so I'll start making 5. Okay, so let's get some power to these pump jacks. I'm going to place a couple of lights here while I'm at it. Okay, so we've got a lot of pipe here. I'm going to craft some underground pipes. And let's grab some more iron so we can make more of those. Underground pipes are going to be used quite a bit. And an underground pipe takes 10 regular pipes. So it uses a lot of material to make those underground pipes. Okay, so normally what I do when I set this up is I get all of my pump jacks connected to a common line. Actually, let's do it like this. We'll send these up here, and then I'll get my straight pipe like so, and then we should be able to connect all those. Okay, so now all of my pump jacks are going to the same line, and then I'm going to put a storage tank to buffer some of the oil. Okay, so we can see that that tank is filling up pretty fast, which is not surprising given how much oil we're getting out of here. We're getting 5.6, 6.1, that's about 6. Yeah, we're getting about 30 oil per second, which is faster than we're going to be able to process it. So we shouldn't run out of oil. Okay, and then next we're going to set up our refineries. So I'm just going to line these up with a space in between each one for a power pole. There's 5. We'll put in our power. And let's hook this up down here. And I'm going to add a few lights here as well. There we go. And in this case, we have to select a recipe. So right now, the only oil processing recipe we have is basic oil processing. Later on, we'll research advanced. And speaking of research, before I go on, solar energy finished while I was making the refineries and the chemical plants. So we need to choose our next one. Let's go ahead and get electric energy accumulators going. All right. So we'll select basic oil processing. And like we did before, we're going to shift right click and then shift left click to copy the recipe to the other ones. Now we can see that the inputs for these are crude oil and the outputs are heavy oil, light oil, and petroleum. When we go to advanced oil processing, the inputs will be oil and water. And if I remember correctly, the water input is the one on the left side. So we're going to hook our oil up only to the right side input so that later on we can add water without having to redo our pipes. So we're going to start by putting one straight pipe on each of these. And then we get our underground pipes. And we'll connect the first one to the storage tank. And then the others we're going to connect with underground pipes like so. And that way we get those all connected. We can see flames shooting out the top. That means that they're starting to work. But they'll quickly come to a close because it doesn't have anywhere to put its output. And we're going to take care of that next. So similar to what we just did on the inputs, on the output sides, we're going to put straight pipes and then we're going to connect them laterally with underground pipes. In this case, to make it all fit, we'll put one pipe on each of the heavy oil outputs. We'll put 2 on light oil and 3 on petroleum. So let's just do that all the way across. And then we'll get these all hooked up and going into storage tanks. Whoops. Got to be careful not to connect dissimilar fluids because they'll mix and then you'll have problems. Once you get fluids mixed, pretty much the only way to correct it is to pick up all the pipes and lay them down again. Okay, accumulators are done. Let's do engines. Okay. So now we've got our inputs all connected, we've got our outputs all connected, and then what I like to do here is I like to run each of the outputs into a storage tank. So we'll just space these out. That one will be for heavy, this will be for light, and that'll be for petroleum. And then we get our underground pipes, hook those up. Now, once the outputs have a place to go, we can see the tank starting to fill up. And all these refineries are going full steam ahead. Okay, so we've got the basic refinery done. Now, what are we going to do with this stuff? All we really want at this stage of the game is the petroleum gas. But we have to do something. Let's do electric engines next. We have to do something with the heavy oil and the light oil, because if those tanks fill up, once they're completely full with 2,500 units, excuse me, then the processing will stop and we won't get any more petroleum, which is what we really need for the plastic and the batteries. So that's why we have so many chemical plants, so that we can process that stuff. Okay, so for the heavy oil, we're going to set up 4 of these. And we'll set them up like this. We'll do 2 with a space and then 2. And again, that's so we can fit a power pole like that. And as before, I'll lay down a few lights so we can see what we're doing. And let me just hook this up to the rest of the grid. Actually, I don't think I want to put those there. We're going to be expanding our green circuit production. We're going to be tripling this setup that we have right now. We're going to put 2 more above it. And that's going to come up here, and this is going to be in the way. So let me relocate these guys. And we'll move these over to the other side. 1, 2. There we go. Okay. So for the heavy oil, we're going to set 1 to make lubricant, because we need lubricant later to make electric motors. So we'll go ahead and get that started. And then the other ones, well, our research is going pretty fast now. Let's do concrete next. And then the other ones we're going to set to make solid fuel from heavy oil. And again, here the idea is that we want to consume this oil. We will need a lot of solid fuel later on in the game to make our rocket base, to make the rockets themselves and the satellites. So we'll go ahead and get that producing, and then we'll just buffer it into chests. Okay, so let's get these hooked up. Here's how I like to hook up the oil from the tanks. Let's do an underground pipe there so we have room to walk through. There we go. I did it this way so that we can pass in between there if we need to. If this was solid all the way across, we wouldn't be able to go through it. See? Okay, and then for the solid fuel, we need to get some inserters. Slow inserter is fine because it's a 3-second process. And I'll put some steel chests down. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that should be enough to take care of the heavy oil. And let me also put a tank there for our lubricant to go into. We're not going to use it for a while. And we probably won't even use a fraction of what we accumulate here. But this way we'll put it into a tank so that when we're ready to use it, there'll be plenty available. If we look at the recipe for the refinery, we can see that every 5 seconds we take 10 crude oil and we make 3 heavy oil, 3 light oil, and 4 petroleum. So if we make 3 heavy oil every 5 seconds and 5 refineries, all doing the same thing, that basically gives us 3 oil per second. So this has been designed to use 3 per second. This one uses 1 per second. That leaves 2 per second for the rest of these. And these use 2 heavy oil every 3 seconds. So with 3 of those, that's 2 per second. So this whole setup should be able to keep up with the output of heavy oil from our refineries and prevent this tank from getting full. Okay, and now we're going to do something similar for the light oil. In this case, all of our light oil is going to get converted into solid fuel. So we'll do 2, 2, 2. We got more space to grow this way. Okay, and that should be 9, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Need more power poles. So we'll go ahead and get all this hooked up. Put down some lights. And here we're going to use the solid fuel for light oil. Now in this case, light oil only requires 1 to make solid fuel. And these use 1 per 3 seconds. So with 9 of these, we'll use the 3 per second that's being put out by the refineries. Okay, let's go grab some more pipes. How are we doing here? Yeah, we can see our crude tank is full already. So we got more than enough oil coming in. And later on in the game, we're going to expand this to 10 refineries. And we'll double up on all this stuff as well. Okay, so let's get our light oil run up here so we can hook it up. And I'm waiting for my underground pipes to get done. Let me stop that. There we go. Okay, and as before, I'm just hooking up this way so that we have some space to walk through. Let's see. Gonna have to fix that. That can go there. And then we'll go underground. And that's too short to go underground. All right, we'll just connect it like that. All right, so I won't be able to walk through here, but I can get through over here on these other sides. That should be fine. Okay, let me grab some steel so we can get some steel chests made. We'll just run down to our bus and get that. And we'll make a few stacks of steel chests. And this is going to be to hold the solid fuel that we're making up here. And we'll just put 1 chest in front of each one. That's going to give us plenty of solid fuel. Depending on how we do with coal, we may end up using some of the solid fuel to run our power or the smelting furnaces. Basically anything that burns coal or wood can burn solid fuel as well. And solid fuel has a higher energy content than coal does. You may remember that coal has, I think it was 8 megajoules per piece, and solid fuel has 25. So that'll burn almost 3 times longer than coal. Okay, so we got all that running. And we can see here that our storage tank is getting pretty full of petroleum. And these other ones, the heavy oil and the light oil, are not as full because we're consuming it. So hopefully we should see these levels stabilize or even start to go down a little bit while we continue to accumulate more petroleum. That'll do it for now. We got our basic oil set up. In the next episode, we're going to continue here, and we're going to start to make plastics and sulfuric acid for batteries. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon.